Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, bringing you an expanding library of education with even more ways to sharpen your trading skills. Access new online courses, insightful webcasts, articles, engaging videos, and more, all curated just for traders. Plus, guided learning paths with content designed to fit your unique interests. No sifting to find exactly what you need, so you can spend your time learning to trade brilliantly. Learn more at schwab.com/trading.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
Hi, I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. Millions of people rely on our protein bars and hydration mixes to win their day. Turns out Thomas Keller, Michelin star chef of the French Laundry, is one of them. We've teamed up with Chef Keller to craft a bar and hydration mix that marry world-class flavor with exceptional nutrition. Our special edition salted caramel chip bar delivers all the decadence of a fine dining dessert plus protein minus sugar and carbs. And our zero sugar yuzu mango hydration mix packs an authentic citrusy punch and a mental boost from lion's mane and magnesium. The best part? 10% of sales go directly to Chef Keller's nonprofit that supports aspiring young chefs. Great taste, great nutrition, great mission. Total no-brainer.
Go to IQBar.com today and enter promo code KELLER20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. That's IQBAR.com, promo code KELLER20.
Hey, what up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of hopsgeeknews, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows, and we typically feature a beer of the week. I'm Matt. With me, as always, is Lauren. And today kicks off our super summer, man. We're going to be talking Superman 1978, directed by Richard Donner, starring Christopher Reeve, and the first of 4 actual films starring Christopher Reeve as Superman, and probably one of the most beloved Superman and also tragic heroes of at the time. So by all means, like, subscribe, share, follow hopsgeeknews, any social media platform, any podcasting platform, leave a review, comments, anything, just hit that notification button, help the algorithm gods help us. And we also will be doing some Supernatural bonus episodes to get ready for the 20th anniversary in September. And if you want to support the show, patreon.com/hopsgeeknews. Now, my beer this week comes to you from Treehouse Brewing. I picked it because the can is Snowy Mountains, which I just kind of thought of, the Fortress of Solitude, Superman. I'll probably be living in this Superman shirt the entire month. But it's called Citra Always, and it's just a double IPA. It has nothing else thematic with Superman, but it has snowy mountains. So that's what I got. Lauren, maybe you have something better. What do you have?
So I got Sidewards extra juicy boots because those Superman boots are extra juicy.
Those underwear is juicy that he wears on the outside too.
And I have it in my other half glass. Shout out to Tracy. This was a birthday gift many years ago because they're not even subtle about filming in New York. I feel like every Metropolis thereafter has just been like, you get New York vibes. This is like, here's the Twin Towers. Here's the Empire State Building.
I was going to say there's a scene in, I think, the second movie where they really attack the Empire State Building, and you're like, yeah, they don't even try at this point.
Hey, you see the Statue of Liberty and everything. Yeah. I think it's the third one or the fourth one. I don't know. I watched all 4 in the last week.
Hey, I'm walking here. Get out of my way, Zod. I'm walking here.
But like, he flies to the top of the Statue of Liberty. It's like,
he does. They are not at all. It is hilarious because at least you're right. In the newer movies, you typically get the Daily Planet looks like an out of place building. They change up some other things and make it look cleaner, I feel like, in Metropolis, but they didn't. No, they really didn't. But we'll get into that here shortly because we like to go into what we've been reading or watching. We go into some news and then our main topic. So why don't you tell us what you've read this week?
So I did kick off a new book for Nerd Initiative Book Club called Duma Key. I think I mentioned that last week. Ernie Altbacker actually recommended it.
Oh, yes, the Stephen King novel.
Stephen King tangent. He's just such a good writer. Like, just all his descriptions are just so well written that you're sucked in, and then you realize you were learning about, like, this person's living room. But you were sucked in because it's just written so well. So I'll have a full review on that when I'm done. That's a 600-page one, so it'll probably take me a little bit especially since it's summer vacation. But I did read for comic reviews this week, Laura Kinney Wolverine #7. Ooh. I'm loving this run so far by Erica Schultz. The artwork is gorgeous. I love what they're doing with Laura with the art because, like, they've done her so beautiful and so badass, but it doesn't feel like, you know how sometimes with girls you have those moments where you feel like, okay, this is the sex appeal scene. This is the sex appeal pose. Like, this is, what they're emphasizing this or that. I don't ever
Right.
get that from the art here. I just feel like her poses, her superhero poses are moments where you take in how badass she is, how angry she is, how berserker raged she may have gone, like those kind of moments. So I just feel like, and the art in this one was like, it was like nonstop action. And the art was just absolutely gorgeous, every single page. And the story was, it's still Christmas morning. Logan's still her dad. She thinks Wolverine was a coping mechanism that she made up deal with the death of her mom. So she's trying to fight that because obviously we know the normal life is not the real life. So it's kind of fun because it switches it on its head. It's like what makes sense is actually BS. So loving that run. I think anybody who wants to dip their toes into the world of Laura Kinney, that's the one to do right now. Read it.
Ooh. All right. And yeah, I haven't read it obviously yet, but I have read some other things. I have read Ghost Rider versus Galactus, which was really freaking awesome for a one shot.
Galactus. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a one shot. Oh.
Yeah. So they've been doing these kind of versus series for a little bit now. I reviewed another one a while ago. I can't remember which one it was, but this one, Johnny Blaze pulls up in New York, does his penance stare to somebody. All the while Thing was standing there talking, getting ready to go on a date with his lady. And he says, "Hey, Johnny, does that penance stare work on everybody?" And Johnny's like, "What are you talking about, man?" And he goes, "You think it would work on a Galactus? I think we've been fighting science with science. You think you could do this?" And Johnny goes, "I'll try anything twice." He he catches a ride on a rocket, finds Galactus, becomes a giant, and they engage in battle. And then he tries to penance stare him, to which it does not work. And then the Watcher shows up. They go on an existential crisis, and Johnny Blaze is like, "What the hell? He's got to feel something." And Galactus just is. So, yeah, it's a fun little one-shot. Kind of got a lot of humor and stuff in it. Really recommend it. Juan Ferreira did the artwork, and it's really color pencil-y feeling, which I thought was really cool. 70s vibe. Definitely check that out. And then I also read Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion issue number 1. I wanted to dip my toes in this. I've heard a lot of good things about the Ultimate Universe. Just not really my thing. Miles Morales is chasing his baby sister who falls into a multidimensional portal. He shows up in this 616 maybe universe, some universe where actually I don't even think it's 616. He just shows up, and Peter Parker.
Ultimate. What is that? What's the Ultimate Universe?
I honestly don't even try to pretend with Marvel. I'm not a Marvel aficionado. That's one thing about me.
You're getting there.
I'm reading a lot more Marvel, but
Yeah.
it never captured me the way DC has. And so Peter Parker is there with his son, who's also Spider-Man. Peter is relatively new at being Spider-Man. Miles shows up. He makes a joke about how Peter's son looks like Venom. Is that his Spider-Man name? He's like, "Oh, that's a cool name. I'm going to adopt that name," basically. And, there's just a lot of craziness where the Avengers are seen as bad guys. And I don't know. It was okay. It wasn't terrible. I also read Absolute Green Lantern.
Really sell it.
I'm sorry. If this is your thing, that's your thing. I'm not sold on it yet, but I'll give it a try still. Absolute Lantern 3 is another one I'm not fully sold on. Al Ewing's doing the writing. Really beautiful color work and stuff like that. I just feel like after 3 issues, the story hasn't progressed really anywhere.
Which one did you say? Manhunter?
Absolute Green Lantern issue number 3 this week. Okay. So we know Hal has his darkness. We know Joe has the lantern ring, and now we're back with John Stewart, who's trying to figure out about the bubble that they're in by Abin Sur, but the story's just kind of not going anywhere. And I mean, that's okay for slow burns, but give me something. There's nothing really being answered there. The time it gets kind of confusing in a couple parts. And so I'm not totally in love with this one either. I'm going to keep sticking with it in hopes that it gets better. But I did absolutely love this one, that so much so that I picked up the foil variant cover this week of Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. Part 2, it's out now. Brian Buccellato, Luis Guerrero, Christian Deuce, they are back and they are doing this part 2. If you haven't read part 1, go get the trade because it's immensely good. You even get some really cool scenes where King Shark becomes a Titan and fights Godzilla. It is so damn good. And there's a surprise ending in this first issue that caught me off guard. And I was just like, whoa. And to kick it all off, Barry Allen's getting married. It's his wedding day, but he hasn't told Iris that he's the Flash yet. And so him and Hal Jordan actually have a bet like going.
Conversation you should have.
Yeah.
Someone. Also, Iris is a smart girl. Come on.
I thought that was interesting too. And so Iris doesn't know. Al and him have a bet. Whoever loses the bet, they get to tell the other significant other who they are. And all of the Justice League is at the Hall of Justice watching on a screen, because if they were all at the wedding, it'd be too suspicious. And Barry is running back and forth as the Flash, and then eventually, they get called to go.
Iris.
It was funny to me, man. I enjoyed it.
Bartholomew.
But it's pretty funny. I do. It's really good. The artwork is so good too, as well. And then I saved this one for last because The Moon is Following Us, issue 10. It's the finale of this run by Daniel Warren Johnson, Riley Rossmo, Mike Spicer. Image Comics did it. I have never wanted to cry during a comic. I don't show emotions. I don't have emotions. I don't know how to have emotions. But there's a sequence where the dad is like pulled into this darkness and he can't get out. His daughter pulls him out of it. And then it just gets more tragic from there. And this ending, it is beautiful, but tragic and sad. And it is one of the most beautiful 10-issue runs that I have had the pleasure of reading in some time. It is worth every single issue. It is worth reading. It is worth your time. Goddamn. It's so good the way it wraps up. Oh my God. I could just gush, but I won't. I watched Superman, which we're going to talk about soon. And I've been watching Mythic Quest. I'm on season 2. Still enjoying that. Haven't watched anything else. Haven't done anything else. Oliver and Carrie went and saw Lilo and Stitch. I haven't done anything.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
Hi, I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. Millions of people rely on our protein bars and hydration mixes to win their day. Turns out Thomas Keller, Michelin star chef of the French Laundry, is one of them. We've teamed up with Chef Keller to craft a bar and hydration mix that marry world-class flavor with exceptional nutrition. Our special edition salted caramel chip bar delivers all the decadence of a fine dining dessert plus protein minus sugar and carbs. And our zero sugar yuzu mango hydration mix packs an authentic citrusy punch and a mental boost from lion's mane and magnesium. The best part? 10% of sales go directly to Chef Keller's nonprofit that supports aspiring young chefs. Great taste, great nutrition, great mission. Total no-brainer.
Go to iqbar.com today and enter promo code KELLER20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. That's iqbar.com, promo code KELLER20.
I've been sick and dead. So what? A lot of people are talking about this. A lot of people are, and if you want the full thoughts, Lauren was on the Nerd Initiative TV Talk.
Turn a page last week.
Turn a page, and
Talk.
they discussed it, but I didn't get to tune in. So what were your thoughts? How you feeling? There's a lot of people talking.
I won't spoil it. I enjoyed the season. I love Shooty as the Doctor. I think he's phenomenal. I have loved every moment he was on TV. I think he's a great Doctor. I think that things have gotten a little too wibbly wobbly. I do love all the callbacks they've been doing, but I want them to make the callbacks make more sense and be more consistent.
Oh, they got too kind of crazy for them.
Okay, in the last
writing
season, they kept addressing the granddaughter.
Right.
They still have yet to fully address that, but it was somewhat mentioned again.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. And so I don't want to say any more.
I hate when the writing gets too smart for its own good. I guess they try to come up with this big creative, and then they write themselves into this weird thing that they can't explain. And then they just kind of try to forget about it. But everybody's sitting there waiting hello.
Well, I think they're dangling the carrot too long. It's sometimes you got to let
the you just got to let it do, man.
And so I didn't walk away from it feeling any sort of conclusion or satisfaction because, the season's over. I walked away from it, I guess, with more questions than answers. And I feel like in a finale, you should walk away with a decent amount of answers. You should still walk away with questions unless it's a series finale. But in a season finale, you should have some... That was my same issues, with The Last of Us. I felt like they didn't...
And cliffhangers are fine, folks. Cliffhangers are fine. But if you're just cliffhanging just a cliffhang, finish...
arc.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you don't finish the arc and what you set out to do initially, then you're just doing stuff just to do stuff at that point. And
I could be wrong about this because I binged Supernatural seasons 1 through 12 and then watched live, but I always felt like they did a good job of wrapping up that overall storyline that season and then dropping a cliffhanger at the finale that you're like, oh, I can't wait till next season now. But that one, okay, so the Leviathan thing, that was wrapped up.
It was,
then Dean vanishes. We don't know what happened, but the Leviathans were wrapped up. So it's come on, dude.
Yeah, they did a good thing. I don't know. I get what you're saying. I definitely do. And maybe I'll go watch it at some point. There's so much to watch, so much to do, so little time.
Yeah.
I'll get there. But let's take a quick ad break. We'll be right back with some news. What's up, comic book fans? Are you tired of expensive coffee with artificial flavoring? Are you also like Lauren and I, to where you can't get your day started without that delicious, perfect cup of coffee to get you jump started in the mornings? Or maybe you just want to sit around the house, get some things done, read some books, and nothing works better than having a delicious, delicious cup of coffee. And that's where Comics on Coffee comes in. Tony and Tanya have been in the business for quite some time and found their love of coffee and comic books would blend perfectly together with delicious in-house roasted coffee beans with no artificial flavorings. You can try their DC Coffee Sampler Collector's Edition. You even get to the Black Gate of Mordor and try their Lord of the Rings blends. Whatever it may be, DC, Ghost Machine, or even Lord of the Rings, they've got just the perfect roast for you. And there is no artificial flavoring whatsoever. None of those plastic, weird tasting things in your coffee. Now, if you're also not a fan of coffee, you can get some delicious teas such as the Red Coat Tea. And what's awesome is they also offer a subscription service to where if you sign up now, you can save 15% by joining their mailing listing and get coffee automatically sent to your door every week, every 2 weeks, however often you want, for a very cheap, low price with free shipping over $75. Now, don't punish yourself with bad coffee. ComicsOnCoffee.com is the perfect coffee for comic book fans and coffee fans alike. Make sure you head to ComicsOnCoffee.com and tell them hopsgeeknews sent you. All right, some news. Mole Man, who happened to be the Fantastic Four's first villain, is also going to be a villain in this film, according to Human Torch. Joseph Quinn was at some sort of convention, and they were talking about it. So Mole Man will be there, where there was hints and things of him. They also recently showed that we're getting a Galactus bucket head for popcorn, which I will buy. It's 17 inches tall. We're getting, the Herbie as well as one.
He's
and there's
cute.
a lot of really cool popcorn buckets and swag coming out for this one. It's actually really cool. I'm not going to lie. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff. And I want to take some credit here because back in April, I hit up Regal and was like, hey, give me the Galactus popcorn bucket head. And I'm just saying, I might be a prophet because here we are in June and they announced the Galactus popcorn bucket head. So just saying, I'm a visionary.
How many popcorn buckets does one man need?
Listen, I'm giving the Sonic head to Megan. You just get to deliver it to her.
I say this as there's a popcorn bucket behind me. So
I only have
I'm not
one
judging.
behind me, which is the Clone Trooper helmet. Okay, but I did have to make some space for my half-built Disney castle that I'm working on.
I did not buy the Clone Trooper because I have the Stormtrooper popcorn
Well,
helmet.
we'll see. There you go. But you did get the
I
Jawa.
the Death Star, but I do have the Jawa.
Ooh, the Death Star would have been pretty good. The Death Star would take.
I looked at it, and so my issue, I thought maybe I could hang it from the ceiling, because let's face it, I don't use these popcorn buckets to get popcorn in them. I have the basic popcorn buckets that I attach to my lounge fly, and that's what I use at the parks. The rest of these are used as decor. But I thought it'd be cool to hang it, but the bottom, you can set the Death Star down, so the bottom's flat.
Okay,
so I was
that's cool.
But if I want to hang it, it's not going to look
Oh, it looks
cool.
kind of tacky, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're like, wait a second, that's no moon.
Right, exactly. Whereas, I have the Millennium Falcon popcorn bucket, and that looks really cool. I take the straps off, and, that doesn't look like a popcorn bucket.
I would love to have, a Death Star disco ball, I guess. I know they make them. You could probably make one, but...
So, there was a thing, I think I follow them on Pinterest. It was, IKEA hacks and, how to transform certain IKEA things into other things. And they have this lamp that, comes kind of out, and somebody transformed it into the Death Star.
People are so crafty. I could never do that. I'm not crafty enough.
I like doing stuff, but I can never come up with stuff on my own.
I'm not. I have great ideas. I just can't do it.
This is why I review things, or
exactly.
The writing I do is
I talk.
Is reviewing something or paraphrasing something or researching something. Yeah, I don't come up with things in my head. I just judge other people who do.
We are going to be. Yeah, this is exciting news for you. What's up with Gen V? We got the trailer. I didn't watch the trailer, but Gen V is coming up.
The trailer. Gen V comes out September 17th. It will be 3 episodes and then once a week on Wednesdays until October 22nd. So this should, ease us
wraps
a
it
little
up,
bit
right?
Until we get some more. Oh, I did watch the trailer. I'm an idiot.
Oh, you did? Does it look exciting?
It does. It looks really good. And, we lost the one guy, Chance, to, was it a motorcycle crash?
Yeah.
And they made it clear in the show they're addressing that. You see, I think it's gonna. I feel like it's gonna be similar to Wakanda Forever, where you're gonna be mourning the character and the actor, and so you see scenes in the trailer of the dad crying and screaming. So I think they're making his death some sort of cover up or mystery, because they couldn't ignore the fact that he's not there.
Well, he's a pretty big character. Yeah. You can't just haha, never see him again.
He was the main character. You can't just write him off and be like, he's just, I don't know. Traveling, backpacking through Central Europe.
Exactly. No, that is pretty big. So speaking of backpacking, though, through Central Europe, we could Disney World dropped a map, and
you don't get what that joke is at all because you didn't watch Friends.
No.
When you tell somebody, did I ever tell you about when I backpacked through Europe? That means you're trying to sleep with them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I guess I never got. Yeah, no.
So
no
that was
idea.
just funny that you said it like that.
Oh, well, I am trying to sleep with Disney World because they dropped a map work for their Cars land that's coming called the Piston Peak National Park, and it's inspired by the American frontier. And I absolutely adore Cars land, and the ride at Disneyland is one of my favorites. So I'm pretty excited.
They're closing Tom Sawyer Island this month.
Yeah, but really, do a lot of people flock to Tom Sawyer Island?
That was one of Kaylee's favorite spots at Magic.
Okay. Well, Muppets just closed down this week too, which is pretty freaking depressing because I feel like we're slowly getting away from like Jim Henson's artwork and all these cool nostalgic
Muppets
artworks.
are going to be taking over Rock
Manhattan.
Coaster.
Oh.
Well, no, because they got rid of Manhattan at Hollywood Studios, so they can't take over Manhattan. But no, so actually Logan just hit tall enough to do Rock and Roller Coaster, so we did it did it a week ago. And he loved it, but his face in the picture was terrified. But that's why I was like, we're gonna wait. So we waited like almost an hour in the line, like Brielle and Sergio.
I mean, it's worth it, yeah. So we can finally ride it.
We said our goodbyes, though. I'm like, this is the last time you're gonna see Aerosmith give you free backstage passes,
and I don't want to miss a thing.
Logan loved the ride, though. I think it's the only one at Disney World that goes upside down.
I also feel for Scott because I know he was very big into the Muppets. And so this had to be a pretty rough week for him there. Although that man has been living at Epic. So really, I can't feel too bad for him. So Scott, screw you, man. I'm jealous. Okay. I'm really jealous. It's not fair. It's not fair. But speaking of Disney, did you know that they're castle shopping as one just casually does because they're looking for potential locations to film The Princess Diaries 3?
Is Anne Hathaway going to be in it?
Probably. Her picture was on the thing. I didn't read beyond that, but...
I've only seen the first one.
Really? I don't remember the second one, but I do remember the first one, and I loved The Princess Diaries.
First one was very cute. Oh, it had Mandy Moore. The stupid Cupid, stop picking on me.
The second one?
I think that was the first one.
Oh.
I used to have that on like a burned CD of Mandy Moore.
Oh, Lauren's... I don't know, something
showing
mix.
My age.
Lauren's mix. No, I'm saying you would always name your mixes, though.
Lauren's mix. No,
I know.
Lauren's
we all
mix.
had Matt's mix. You had
stuff.
Love mix. You had whatever your crushes was mix. I don't know. You had a mix for everything.
I had a boyfriend make me a CD that had like Kelly Clarkson songs on it, and he wrote Lauren's Car, Not Mine.
Oh God, who cares? I mean, even then, it's like cares. People don't know. Okay, you had to pick your CDs out before you got into. Oh my gosh,
it was so exciting though.
It was kind of dope.
And then you know what I would do when I had an iPod? I would go to the library, rent CDs, upload them to my iTunes, and put them on to my iPod. And I thought I was a genius.
That's kind of dope. All right, that's cool.
Now I pay Spotify every month to be able to listen.
Yeah, I pay Apple Music just to be able to do all that. I got rid of Spotify, went to Apple Music. I don't remember why. Exactly. I think. Oh no, I can get student discounts for better. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, why don't you tell us about Dexter's Resurrection?
It is back on Paramount Plus beginning July 11th.
Okay. You excited?
I shouldn't be, but I am excited, and I'm going to keep watching every Dexter thing because that's what I do apparently. But the cast looks phenomenal, and like I saw pictures of like Eric Stone Street and Neil Patrick Harris, and they don't.
I did see those photos. Yeah.
And Batista's coming back. That's fun.
Neil Patrick Harris, I don't know why. I always think about his character in Gone Girl.
I forgot he was in Gone Girl.
Yeah, and so when he's playing in a killer-esque type show, I just think about the creepiness of him in that movie and how he's like the world's biggest simp, and then he gets murdered by her too in that movie. Spoiler, I guess, but that movie's been out forever.
Yeah, I've seen it and I didn't remember any of that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of something we all definitely probably don't remember a whole lot of, Stranger Things, they finally announced that Volume 1 is dropping Thanksgiving Eve, and then the next volume, Christmas Day, and then the third volume to wrap up the series is on New Year's Eve. What are your thoughts on the way they're dropping the finale of this?
Well, you know what? I hope it's holiday themed. I'll watch Doctor Who Christmas night because it's Christmas themed, but like I'm not like eager to go watch Stranger Things on these holidays, especially.
I'm not either.
Who's going to be watching it on New Year's Eve? Like everybody's going to be partying.
I'm watching football on, Thanksgiving and Christmas. I'm especially watching
You're
football
putting
too.
on a
Or
Christmas movie.
Christmas movies on. Oh yeah, that too. And they're probably banking on everybody being together as a family watching this, but I don't think it's going to turn out the way they think. Not to mention, everybody's kind of pissed off about the fact that it's taken them so long to even get here, and now we're dropping these in volumes, splitting it up. It would have made more sense to do it in October. Because, you sync up with like Halloween Horror Nights and stuff.
But maybe it will be holiday themed. I mean, if it is, then I'm more on board.
Well, the kids are 45 years old, so they probably are all going to wrap it up with their grandchildren playing D&D. I don't know.
It takes place in the present. It's 2025.
It's insane. Yeah, it's truly insane. So
yeah, what's interesting is we have these conversations all the time about like what they're doing with TV and making people wait and all this and that. And I kind of thought it was like our own little bubble of like geekdom that everybody says that. But then I was at a beer event last weekend, Girls Pint Out, and it was a bunch of women who our common ground is loving beer, and they had the same exact complaints when we started talking about TV shows. And I was like,
I'm telling you, Sean from Metalcore Nerds is trying to tell me that I was in the wrong on this. And I was like, dude, I'm telling you, man, a lot of people are feeling this way. And lo and behold, yeah. And it's good to know that it's not just us because, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a problem. It really is. And I don't need to go over this soapbox again or anything like that, but it is definitely a problem. And so won't beat a dead horse. Stranger Things get ready to come out. Let's go ahead, take another ad break as we are going to finally get to our main topic of Superman.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
Hi, I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. Millions of people rely on our protein bars and hydration mixes to win their day. Turns out Thomas Keller, Michelin star chef of the French Laundry, is one of them. We've teamed up with Chef Keller to craft a bar and hydration mix that marry world-class flavor with exceptional nutrition. Our special edition salted caramel chip bar delivers all the decadence of a fine dining dessert plus protein minus sugar and carbs. And our zero sugar yuzu mango hydration mix packs an authentic citrusy punch and a mental boost from lion's mane and magnesium. The best part? 10% of sales go directly to Chef Keller's nonprofit that supports aspiring young chefs. Great taste, great nutrition, great mission. Total no-brainer.
Go to IQBar.com today and enter promo code Keller20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. That's IQBAR.com, promo code Keller20.
We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we're back, dudes. We're here. We're talking Superman, the movie, 1978.
Nope, that's Indiana Jones.
In my head, I was singing the same thing, but it's very similar. John Williams is doing the theme, but, it stars Christopher Reeve as Superman / Clark Kent, Marlon Brando as Jor-El, Margot Kidder as Lois Lane, Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor. It is directed by Richard Donner and the first of 4 starring Christopher Reeve. Now, according to our Lauren GPT, we all know the basic origin story. Krypton explodes. The parents send the baby, lands in Kansas, raised by Martha and Jonathan Kent, who always wanted a baby. They knew God would give them a baby, and how it became like this buck-ass naked kid in the field.
They would never do that today.
Can we talk about like the fact that fucking like 4-year-old kid was buck ass naked in the field, all full frontal and all, and you're just like, oh, this is uncomfortable.
Meanwhile, the kid on the cover of the Nirvana CD is like wanting to sue, and this kid's like, yeah, full. I think back then though, I don't think people thought about it. Now,
they didn't, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it was just.
But you find some naked kid out in the field, and you're like, God was always going to deliver us a baby, and it's like, whoa, you're kidnapping, guys. All right, it's the 70s,
yes.
Serial killers were rampant, but Jesus.
Jonathan's like, we should find his real parents. Okay, you seem like you really like the kid, Martha.
And then he like shows some strength, helps pick up a car while they're changing a tire, and he's just like, you know what? Yeah. You're okay in my book. We'll keep you around.
I liked in Smallville how they waited for his powers to set in, and they did that in Superman and Lois too. I thought that was
right.
better. But okay, yeah.
Anyways, he's forced to hide his powers. He moves to Metropolis, becomes a reporter, meets Lois Lane. All of that happens. Yeah, okay. Now, Lex Luthor is the baddie. Gasp. Dun, dun, dun. He is a baddie, Gene Hackman is. R.I.P. in peace. He wants to knock off a huge part of California, and so his plan is to nuke everything west of where he bought property and let it sink into the ocean. Yes. And so he's going to make it his own right there. That's his plan. And so he almost drowns Superman with some kryptonite around his neck. And however, with the help of Alexa's attractive female friend who says, you can never tell a lie, Superman. Can I get a kiss? and because I don't think he'll be around later for it.
Where does Lex keep finding these people? Or either of them. The other bad guy had a. Well, that girl was kind of funny because she played dumb.
Yeah, very, very weird. Anyways, he escapes, saves the day. California saved.
Woohoo.
Yeah. So before we go into our thoughts, we're going to give you some production notes. So Lauren, why don't you kick us off with how Superman set many super records?
Super records. So an all-time U.S. industry record for business during a pre-Christmas week with $12 million.
That's funny. Doesn't that seem like nothing?
I know. But
nowadays money, it's
70s.
12 million. You're thinking flop. You're like, wow, dude, nobody saw your movie.
I know. It's like low-budget movies are 12 million. I don't really know, but yeah. I'm bad at math. So for the week of December 22nd to 28th, the U.S. made $18.5 million. And it also set records for Warner Brothers. It was their best opening day at the time with $2.8 million. And their 3-day weekend was $7.5 million. It is funny to compare these numbers. And obviously we're not taking into account inflation or the fact
it's
that
1978 and it's 2025 now. Come on, be serious.
But not just that too. Like if you look at inflation with the cost of movie tickets, the movie tickets are still more. Like they don't transfer properly.
And this movie was made for $55 million at that. So, I mean, that's a big budget film for the 70s.
Yeah. And in its third week, it grossed $13.1 million for a 4-day holiday weekend, setting a record with an 18 gross amount of $43.7 million.
That's crazy. And it made $300.5 million on a $55 million budget, which is kind of crazy. So
maybe because they barely paid Christopher Reeve. They saved a ton of money there.
Yeah. So let's go into casting Superman a little bit. It was initially decided to first sign an A-list actor for Superman. DC requested that they would get in a list of actors that were able to be considered for Superman and approved the producers' choices of Muhammad Ali, Al Pacino, James Caan. Would have been really interesting to see him playing Brando's kid, a mob dad and kid to Superman and his dad. Yes. And
that would have been fun. But he wouldn't wear the suit.
He wouldn't wear the suit. Yeah. It comes down to could not wear the suit. Then they looked at Steve McQueen, Clint Eastwood, and Dustin Hoffman. Now, Olympic champion Bruce Jenner auditioned for the title role. Both Neil Diamond and even Arnold Schwarzenegger lobbied hard for the role. However, they were ignored.
Arnold can't do an American accent.
Arnold was never
watched the documentary, and they mentioned that they're like we couldn't have
buff
a
enough,
boy from Kansas sound like he's from Austria.
Well, they moved there after the war, and his parents, you see,
totally revamped his backstory. He had the body type, though.
He did. Christopher Walken was also considered, Nick Nolte, John Voight, and Perry King. Nolte wanted to play Superman as a schizophrenic. That's very on brand for Nick Nolte. Is just a normal schizophrenic, I feel like. So he just wanted to play himself in some regard. Now, Chris Christopherson and Charles Bronson were also considered for the role, as was Warren Beatty, who was actually offered it but turned it down. Guys with the body couldn't act and vice versa. The search became so desperate that producer Elia Salkind's wife's dentist was screen tested. Imagine being a dentist one day and then you're just so buff, beautiful.
Like, oh yeah, I did drama in high school. Let me try it.
You get screen tested for Superman, all right? Stallmaster convinced, I need some friends like that. Can I get screen tested just because they're so desperate? I don't know. Now, Stallmaster convinced Donner and Ilya to have Reeve screen test in February of 77. So, with the rest of the cast being all-stars, they decided to check out no-namers. Christopher Reeve was an unknown actor who was working off of Broadway at the time alongside Jeff Daniels. Crazy to think that those two were working together.
They did a play later together, too, after Superman, where they played lovers. And it was funny because Jeff Daniels is in... So I watched all 4 movies this week, and I watched the documentary.
Overachiever.
Which, definitely get the tissues out if you're going to watch that. But I learned a lot of things I didn't know. And Jeff Daniels said there's a scene in the play where they kiss, and somebody yelled, "Superman, say it ain't so."
Superman, what?
I think somebody has said that about Wolverine, too, in a play where he kissed a dude.
Oh, probably,
And they yelled about Wolverine. It's like, guys,
it's okay.
Can kill like the same sex, too. Come on.
I'm literally holding the DC pride, first and foremost. So, come on, guys.
Plus, this is called acting.
Foreign concepts. You would think a lot of these people who get appalled would know what acting is, consider they've been acting straight their whole lives. Anyways.
Happy Pride Month, y'all.
Yes. At first, it was a concern as to how tall and skinny Reeve was, so he bulked up. However, compare him to Cavill, and, well, he was still tall and skinny. But
so did Josh. He still does look skinny, and, you think you'd like.
But he does look boxy for the time, though. But, yeah, he is very skinny for a Superman when you're comparing Henry.
And Josh didn't know who Henry Cavill was. And I was like, the Calverine?
Come on, dude. Well, he'll get to know him when we cover Man of Steel. But Yeah, he was told to wear a
Cover
muscle
Man of
suit
Steel.
to produce the desired muscular physique, but Reeve refused. Instead, he got some help from Darth Vader, David Prowse, to improve his workout routine. Yes, Darth Vader, when he is not off killing younglings, he's helping Superman get fit and buff.
This one didn't kill younglings. Hayden Christensen did.
Actually, shout out to David Prowse, because he was carrying pop culture science fiction in the 70s, considering he was in the Darth Vader suit, got no recognition, and he actually wanted to play Superman. However, he was denied an audition by the filmmakers because he was not an American. But he got Superman buffer. So thanks, David Prowse, the unsung hero. He has a very tragic story as well. And now Prowse auditioned for Non, and Reeve went from 188 pounds to 212 during pre-production and filming. Reeve earned only $250,000 for both Superman and Superman 2, while his veteran co-stars received huge sums of money for the time, $3.7 million for Brando and $2 million for Hackman for Superman. However, Reeve felt Superman brought me many opportunities rather than closing a door in my face. It makes even more... Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. So, yeah, in the documentary, too, they talk about after his accident, it cost $400,000 a year just to have equipment and nurses and everything they needed. Because remember, he couldn't do anything. He's paralyzed from the, below the neck.
I never knew that. So was he essentially poor after his accident because all the money?
He wasn't poor, but, money became an issue. And that's kind of when he started... So a year after the accident, he came out to some awards show and was met with a lot of recognition. And then he actually did some directing after the accident.
Oh, I didn't know all this. Wow.
Yeah. So he did some directing, and he also started an organization for people with paralysis, which they end the document. Obviously, I'm ruining it, but still, if you don't want to watch it because you don't want to cry, I'll do the highlights, but it is something that's worth watching and hearing it from his voice and from the people around him. Jeff Daniels was in it. Susan Sarandon was in it.
Wow.
Glenn Close was in it. God, she's still gorgeous. That woman, man, she's just beautiful.
Yeah, agreed.
But they say that there are people walking today because of him, because
he had that big foundation. That's how I knew him initially, was from his foundation and all of his work there, as a kid. Well, because growing up, his accident and stuff had already happened. And so anytime I saw him, I loosely knew he's Superman, but every time I saw him, it had to do with his foundation. And I've only ever known him in his wheelchair. So, or, his chair and things like that after his accident. So it was rewatching this to me is fascinating because he seemed like such a kind and pure hearted guy. I mean, you get kind of some of that right, obviously, as much as you could through his paralysis and after his accident. But the way he acted, he was a good actor in these movies. And just his work was phenomenal. The way he played some of these Superman, and we'll get into it, but the scene where, in Superman 2, he slips in front of Lois, how he tells her, and they kind of go through that. Or even in Superman 1, there's times where he slips between Clark and Superman really seamlessly. Done. Yeah, it's very seamless, but subtle. And his acting was phenomenal in these movies. Really was.
Standing up straight, yeah. Well, and they don't candy coat things in the documentary. They're very blunt as to who he was before the accident, after the accident. And he was a good person, but we all have our flaws, and they don't ignore his flaws.
Oh, what happened? Why was he not? He wasn't a creep, was he?
No, not a creep.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Whew. No. But just he had 2 kids before he married somebody else, and he went skiing the day after one of his kids was born.
Ah.
Yeah. That kind of
so
thing.
He shouldn't, okay.
He had 2 kids before, and then he had one with his wife who stood by his side until literally the very end and was there for and saved his life in more ways than one. But, one of the kids was my dad didn't really see me until after the accident because Christopher Reeve was very active. He was constantly doing some stuff, constantly, he was the adventurous type. He'd go sailing, and they showed so many home videos of him ice skating and doing all these things with the kids, but I guess never really stopping and listening to the kids. And so all of a sudden he's kind of
sad. Wow.
All he can do. Yeah. So, I mean, there's,
that's heartbreaking.
There's a silver lining to everything.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
Hi, I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. Millions of people rely on our protein bars and hydration mixes to win their day. Turns out Thomas Keller, Michelin star chef of the French Laundry, is one of them. We've teamed up with Chef Keller to craft a bar and hydration mix that marry world-class flavor with exceptional nutrition. Our special edition salted caramel chip bar delivers all the decadence of a fine dining dessert plus protein minus sugar and carbs. And our zero-sugar yuzu mango hydration mix packs an authentic citrusy punch and a mental boost from lion's mane and magnesium. The best part? 10% of sales go directly to Chef Keller's nonprofit that supports aspiring young chefs. Great taste, great nutrition, great mission. Total no-brainer.
Go to iqbar.com today and enter promo code Keller20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. That's iqbar.com, promo code Keller20.
And honestly, what's crazy is anytime something terrible happens to a celebrity, it's the best thing in the world that can happen to that illness. Like, look what Michael J. Fox has done for Parkinson's. People are
unfortunately, you're right.
Because of Christopher Reeve's accident. If that happened to me, my influence would in no way, shape, or form.
Nobody would have batted an eye, right? So,
right. I mean, yeah.
I want to start this foundation. Okay, sure. And you probably never would have been able to get the funding to start this foundation off the ground. Whereas,
I mean, not
somebody like that
do it, and they do make an impact, but not at the level.
Right. And it's not to be like, oh, woe is that, but it's really a blessing in disguise. Using that for good to help people despite what you've gone through and you can't help yourself. Now it's, well, I can't have this, so I'm hoping somebody else can. And yeah, it is good. It is good. But
Christopher Reeve was my mom's Henry Cavill. I used to always hear how
he was a handsome guy, though. He really was.
And she dated a guy who, he looks just like Christopher Reeve, Superman. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I was like 12, but I remember when his accident happened. But okay, Mom, let's get you. Anyways. Now my kids do that. Okay, Mom, Dean Winchester's
all right,
not that
let's get
hot.
you to bed.
Calm down, Mom.
Let's get back to the points now. Marlon Brando, despite making way more than the lead, sued the Salkinds, however you pronounce it, and Warner Brothers for $50 million because he felt that he got cheated out of his share of the box office profits, which then stopped Brando's footage from being used in Richard Lester's version of Superman 2. And I guess it was an offer he should have refused. He wasn't the best to work with. Brando first suggested that Jor-El appear as a green suitcase or a bagel with Brando's voice.
So you added that fun fact, and I didn't believe it, and I double fact-checked it, and multiple websites confirmed it. I was
unbelievable. He's the worst.
Somebody had to have put this in something being funny, and I was like, no, that is fact. I triple fact-checked it.
Brando's the worst, okay? Donner was lucky enough to use flattery to persuade him to portray Jor-El himself. Now Brando hoped to use some of his salary for a proposed 13-part Roots-style miniseries on the Native Americans in the United States. I can only imagine the horror that series would have been, and it probably wouldn't have done very good justice because Brando again. Anyways, he had it in his contract.
Godfather.
He had it in his contract to complete all of his scenes in 12 days. He also refused to memorize his dialogue, so cue cards were compiled across the set, and we've seen many things, such as Deadpool and Wolverine mocking this. Yes, he's very, very much known for that. So why don't you take us to the rest of the initial casting?
If I was an actor, I can't remember anything.
I often am like, wow, you guys are really impressive. But before scenes, they memorize their stuff again. So, I mean.
Especially like Doctor Who or like, Cisco or something.
Oh, or when you're trying to have to like talk smart.
Yes.
Fast. Yeah.
Yes. It's always impressive. Okay. So instead of using Christopher Reeve to play high school Clark, Jeff East was cast as teenage Clark, which is really funny considering Tom Welling was 24 when Smallville aired, and he was playing a high school version of Clark Kent who was supposed to be 15. And do you know how old Christopher Reeve was when he was cast as Superman?
No.
24.
Oh my God, I swear I was about to say 25. On my soul, I was in my head, I was like, what, 25?
Which is funny because he was cast as Superman and Tom Welling was cast as Clark Kent. But
that's crazy.
Clearly does not look 15 because Tom Welling is also like a big guy.
Yeah.
So Ilya Salkind first conceived the idea for a film for Superman in late 73, the following November, after a long and pain-in-the-ass process with DC Comics.
Never
easy.
He
did purchase the Superman film rights along with his father, Alexander Salkind, and partner Pierce Spangler. George Lucas was asked to direct, but he was busy on some sort of space movie at the time. Pause for laughter. Ilya wanted to hire Steven Spielberg to direct, but Alexander was skeptical, feeling it was best to wait until Spielberg's Big Fish opens.
Oh.
Obviously, Jaws worked out well for him. Happy 50th anniversary. We will be covering Jaws 4 next month.
Oh, I can't
but then
wait.
He was
We're
too
just
busy
so blessed.
On Close Encounters of the Third Kind. We're going to Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Dustin Hoffman turned down Lex Luthor. And, of course, we got Gene Hackman, which was fantastic.
Yes.
A downside of having stars for the other roles were that Hackman and Brando had to film their scenes immediately because they both had other commitments, so their scenes took priority.
They really weren't in a whole lot anyways, so...
Yeah.
If you think about it too, when it comes to, Hackman, he's in the movie for like 10 minutes, if that. I mean, You get a little intro with him and he talks like, haha, villain stuff. And then you really just get him when he's like, yeah, I'm going to go blow up and I have some property and all that. Okay, bye. And that's like it.
So when Donner took over as director, he was not happy with the script. He felt it was campy, and he brought it to Tom Mankiewicz to perform a rewrite. According to Mankiewicz, though, not a word from the Puzo script was used. It was well written, but it was still a bit of a ridiculous script. It was 550 pages, which they said 110 pages is plenty for a script. This could have been 2 features, but it was way too much. So he's like, you can't shoot this screenplay because you'll be shooting for 5 years.
Yeah, no kidding. What is it, a Stephen King novel? You brought me a Stephen King novel? What do you want me to do with this thing?
I pulled out The Stand the other day. I didn't realize that is over 1,000 pages. But everyone keeps saying it's phenomenal.
A long, big enough novel to actually use as a stand for your TV.
Ah, ha, ha, ha.
Thank you. I'll be here all night.
Pause for laughter. Okay. So, filming. You want to take over?
All right. When I was a boy. No. Anyways, principal photography began on March 28th, 1977 at Pinewood Studios for the Krypton scenes, which is all of 5 seconds. At $55 million, it was budgeted as the most expensive film ever made at that point. Because Superman was being shot simultaneously with Superman 2, filming lasted 19 months until October of 1978. See, guys, you can film things back to back. We don't have to wait 2 years between TV shows.
You're not done yet.
I know. Filming was originally scheduled to last between 7 and 8 months. Did not work out. Now, on that note, the filmmakers wanted to film the first and the sequel together, figuring it would be more efficient. However, it was decided to stop shooting Superman 2 and focus on finishing the first one because Donner had already completed 75% of the sequel. So a decision was made if Superman was a box office bomb, they would not finish the sequel. Now, the original climax for Superman 2 had General Zod, Ursa, and Non destroying the planet, with Superman time traveling to fix the damage. But with the worry of a flop, Donner said, if I decided Superman is a success, they're going to do a sequel. If it ain't a success, a cliffhanger ain't going to bring them to see Superman 2. So that was ultimately scrapped. And it did end up happening in the sequel.
The time traveling stayed in episode 1, which was odd because, like, he goes to, in the first one, he's spinning the planet backwards to save Lois. But, like, why didn't he try to take Lois? You're muted. Why didn't he try to... Oh, you're probably talking to the kid. Why didn't he try to take Lois to the hospital? Why didn't he do CPR? Why didn't he, like, breathe oxygen back into her? Why didn't he do something? He's just, like... And then he's, like, listening for heartbeat. I'm like, can't you, like, see her heart beating?
I also thought that... Okay, so I thought that about... When his dad has a heart attack, Superman couldn't hear that happening and he couldn't zoom him to a hospital right away. They just kind of stand around as this dude just dies on the farm.
Yeah, I don't know.
The dude was just racing a train. Come on, dude. You just watched your dad. And anyways, continue. Yeah. Anyways.
So, last few fun facts. New York City was Metropolis. They're not even subtle about it. We were
not
talking
at
about
all.
that. Smallville, however, was in Alberta, Canada. And then we also see scenes in New Mexico, Lake Mead, and Grand Central Terminal. Donner was neither given a budget nor a schedule, but was constantly told he was over budget and behind schedule.
Yes.
So they brought in Richard Lester to help co-produce. Donner did not trust Lester. However, he did it because the Salkins owed him money for lawsuits that were unpaid. He said, quote, I didn't trust Lester, and I told him. He said, believe me, I'm only doing it because they're paying me the money that they owe me from the lawsuit. I'll never come into your set unless you ask me. I'll never go to your dailies. If I can help you in any way, call me, end quote.
I really feel like in some sense, I should have been born then because I would have been rich in some form to not have to do any work. You're getting paid. Listen, they owe me a ton of money, all right? And so I'm going to just go there and, you'll never see me. I don't care. But they owe me money, and so that's why I'm here, okay? I'm here so I can get my fucking money. Excuse my language. That's the one the F-bomb I get. Sorry, I ruined it. My bad. Dang it. Anyways, what was your relationship with this film? Because I never fully remember when I watched it for the first time, and it was always kind of on TV, but this was like my first time sitting down and fully watching it start to finish a couple times in a row, because I never really did growing up.
This was the first time I remember watching it from beginning to end, but I know that we did watch it when we were little because, again, it was like my mom's favorite Superman,
right?
And that was...
It was the Superman.
It was the Superman, yeah. I did watch a little bit of Lois and Clark, which we'll talk about that a little bit when we do our TV shows. Yeah. Next week we're going to be covering TV shows. But yeah, I mean, he was the, Michael Keaton was Batman and he was Superman.
He really was.
I guess then you would compare it to Adam West more so, but for me, that was my Superman and my Batman.
Well, I mean, same. As we're growing up, I mean, that's always the definitive right there, right?
Yeah, and there, you always knew some of the moments that you got, like, that you kind of remember with, like, him spinning the earth backwards and him, doing the flying, like all these iconic shots that you've just seen forever.
What's up, comic book fans? Are you tired of expensive coffee with artificial flavoring? Are you also like Lauren and I, to where you can't get your day started without that delicious, perfect cup of coffee to get you jump started in the mornings? Or maybe you just want to sit around the house, get some things done, read some books, and nothing works better than having a delicious, delicious cup of coffee. And that's where Comics on Coffee comes in. Tony and Tanya have been in the business for quite some time and found their love of coffee and comic books would blend perfectly together with delicious in-house roasted coffee beans with no artificial flavorings. You can try their DC Coffee Sampler Collector's Edition. You even get to the Black Gate of Mordor and try their Lord of the Rings blends. Whatever it may be, DC, Ghost Machine, or even Lord of the Rings, they've got just the perfect roast for you. And there is no artificial flavoring whatsoever. None of those plastic, weird tasting things in your coffee. Now, if you're also not a fan of coffee, you can get some delicious teas such as the Red Coat tea. And what's awesome is they also offer a subscription service to where if you sign up now, you can save 15% by joining their mailing listing and get coffee automatically sent to your door every week, every 2 weeks, however often you want, for a very cheap, low price with free shipping over $75. Now, don't punish yourself with bad coffee. Comicsoncoffee.com is the perfect coffee for comic book fans and coffee fans alike. Make sure you head to comicsoncoffee.com and tell them Hops Geek News sent you. All right. It really is iconic. So I do want to talk about there is some silliness to it, right? When they clearly have never seen anybody run before when they're doing Clark East running against a train.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
It was awful. It's like, it was so unnatural. And speaking of Jeff East, excuse me, I said Clark East. It was two names. Jeff East portrays teenage Clark Kent. Now, East's lines were actually overdubbed by Reeve during post-production. And really? East, quote, "I was not happy about it because the producers never told me what they had in mind." East commented, "It was done without my permission, but it turned out to be okay. Chris did a good job, but it caused tension between us. We resolved our issues with each other years later." East also tore several thigh muscles when performing the stunt of racing alongside the train. Technicians applied 3 to 4 hours of prosthetic makeup daily to increase his resemblance to Reeve. Okay, so wow. How did he tear thigh?
Do it?
First thought, yes. They could have makeup
I don't know,
him
they
down.
can de-age him then.
You know what I meant, like through makeup? It wouldn't have mattered. He's so insignificantly a teenager for like no time at all.
No, but they really dragged that out. I was like, oh my God, they were like, how much into this, and we're still in Smallville, and like
the first 30 minutes, yeah.
But I feel like it's because, I mean, this wasn't the first live action.
It's a long movie. It's 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but I felt like it was the first time Superman was being introduced to like a main audience.
Oh, definitely was. You didn't have like the 1960s Batman for Superman. I mean, you had comic books. That was really it.
Well, they had again, we'll go into it. Like there was a TV show. There was other live action
There was, but it wasn't.
Superman.
It didn't catch on the way.
No. So they had to do the full introduction. They had to kill Uncle Ben again, kind of thing.
But it was, again, I just feel so bad that he tore his quad muscles because it didn't look like he knew how to run. And they must have had him run it, like, because the running was just, it wasn't natural. Okay, I get it. He's not able to run as fast as a train, duh. But the running just didn't look right. And so the poor guy tore his quads, and then you dubbed his voice out. And it's just, dude, the poor guy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like a David Prowse situation where he got dubbed over by James Earl Jones. Yeah. You know, it's one of those things. And he had no idea either. And so it caused, again, tension.
When I was watching this, Logan was watching it with me here and there. And he goes, "Superman? No, this is super fake."
Oh, roasted, dude.
So that's the quote from my 8-year-old.
You know, hard hitting there. But obviously, things aside, it still is a good movie.
One thing I'm really glad we don't do in movies anymore is have women faint.
Oh, God. Or how sexist and awful Perry White was as a 70s dude.
I didn't think he was that bad because honestly, like, he
was J. Jonah Jameson vibes.
Oh, he's definitely J. Jonah Jameson vibes. But he respected Lois. Like, Lois is his favorite reporter. Lois is his best reporter, and he never shies away from that. And so I genuinely like that through all 4 of the movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
That they constantly do that. But there was a time where Lois is like, "Oh, tell me the color of my panties. You can see through things."
Oh, yeah.
Never answered that today, and I was shocked when he did answer it.
Why did
he look in her purse when that mugger took her purse?
Oh, yeah. He's like, "What do you have? Lipstick, blah, 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 blah."
Yeah, why'd you look in her purse, Clark? That was weird.
And $10 or whatever, you know, it was weird. And then he tells it. Yeah, it was. I liked their little interview, and I totally forgot that he doesn't tell her who he is in this movie, and they kind of leave it for the second movie.
Thick picks it up at the end.
Yeah, and they don't really fully disclose it, obviously, until the second movie with the fire scene, and then they go and consummate their love, where he gives up his powers. But yes.
Yeah, if you want to jump to Superman 2, 1980, we do not have fun facts. We just have quick.
Just a quick side note, real quick. When he saved Air Force One, I put he probably should have let that one crash. However, Jimmy Carter was actually president at the time, so I'm glad he saved Air Force One. He should have let Ronald Reagan's ass crash. God dang it. Okay, you should have, if it was Ronald Reagan on there, should have let that son of a gun crash. It was Jimmy Carter. Okay, very good for you. Also, I had, when Superman was initially walking to the Arctic for his Fortress of Solitude, very Buddy the Elf. Very much Buddy the Elf.
Josh said that too.
Bye, Clark. I hope you find your dad.
Dad in reverse is what Josh said because he's going to the North Pole. That's so
And then
funny.
his dad shows up and everything. Yeah, oh my God. The only other time Marlon Brando, that would have been the perfect time for him to be a bagel.
Oh, and James Caan is an elf. Yeah, right?
That's true. He is. Anyways, okay, Superman 2 from 1980. Zod has been released. Yeah, the Phantom Zone sequence with them in the first movie was funny.
That mirror thing, though, it looks the exact same as it does in Smallville. So I thought that was funny that years later we get the mirror thing in the Phantom Zone. It's exactly the same.
It is funny. It is. But yes, Lex also escapes jail and wants to use Zod to rid the world of Superman, unbeknownst to Clark, who's gave up his virginity and his powers to be with Lois. And then, all of 2 seconds, he gets his power back.
Talking about
he wins
him
the
not
day.
having power and not the other thing last.
And then he makes Lois friggity Superman. Like, what, dude? Okay. What? I disagree with that.
There's a cut scene from the Donner version that I think they should have used. So you know how she finds out she throws herself in in Niagara.
She throws herself in there. I was like, I thought you were Superman. Oh, I'm stupid. Then he falls in the fire and he's like, oh man, my bad.
So in his cut, she shoots him. And I think it's beautiful because what happens is she's like, the mistake I made was I didn't go after you. I should have put you in peril. So she has a gun and she shoots him and he's like, no, Lois, please don't do this. And they're in the hotel. And then he instantly tenses straight up and becomes Superman. And he's like, Lois, you could have really hurt somebody. She's like, what, with blanks? Because
dang, that would have been okay. That really would have, honest to God, yeah, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, they should have left that one in.
I would have loved that.
You can still find it on YouTube. You can just search it.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I disagree. Can we talk about too though? Zod and his crew have the just fashion statement of the century. You're out here taking over Earth in figure skating outfits.
Zod is in a bunch of stuff too. It took me.
He really was. Yeah. But then we also had Nan, who is just brain dead, and he was so funny trying to get his laser beams going, and it was just like, oh god, this is hilarious. Absolute hilarious.
Mount Rushmore, they destroyed Mount Rushmore and
it took us decades to complete, and they just reduced it to rubble in minutes. Yeah,
I also love you have the Marlboro truck. Very strategically placed back when smoking in movies was okay.
That's right. Oh gosh, yeah, it was an interesting movie to say the least. It just God, I like this movie still. I actually like Superman 2 still. I have not watched Superman 3 or 4 though. So why don't you take us into those ones?
3 came out in 1983. A new bad guy is in town, and he uses a genius Richard
Pryor
to
back in town.
Coffee fields, so everyone has to buy their coffee. Superman prevents a lot of the damage, then they go for oil, and they give Superman
eco-terrorism,
bad kryptonite, which makes him evil. So we get evil Clark or evil Superman.
Man, you should have never gone through that late stuff, Oos. Oh man.
Don't worry, he saves the day, though. He overcomes his dark side, and he goes to dinner with Lana, and he gets her a job at the Daily Planet, and we never see her
is
again.
Lois not in this?
Lois is in it, but she leaves at the beginning to go on a vacation, and then she comes back at the end from the vacation.
So are they ever together?
No.
What?
Not in any of these 4 movies are they ever together.
What?
And she never finds out again, although she always...
And then he doesn't even get with Lana? You never see her again?
Nope. You don't even see him get with Lana.
That's disrespectful to the core, okay?
It seems like him and Lana are going to get
even Zack Snyder got Lois and Clark and Superman being together. Gosh dang it, Donner and crew. Everybody else involved. Jeez.
In Smallville, they touch on the whole, he's a virgin for way too long because he's scared of hurting someone.
I mean, that's perfectly reasonable, okay? Okay, I have to just... Okay. I have to tell you this story because this is very relevant to the Superman hurting when he's having
We're
sex,
talking about
because
Mallrats?
no, we're going to talk about the fact that I discovered, deathcore music has very interesting names for bands. There's Dying Fetus. There's
That's
Fupa
terrible.
Goddess.
Fupa
However,
Goddess. I don't know what
none
that is.
have blown me away quite like discovering a band with the name Cum Shot Wound this week.
Cum shot wound. Oh, that would be
That
Superman, I guess.
is quite the name, and it's very relevant to Superman dropping loads or
Jesus
being
Christ.
afraid to do that.
And I was worried about saying the F word.
And here I am, just come on. Did he finish or what? There are some things you just don't talk about. Anyways, yes.
They knew
So
Mallrats had to come
check
up.
out Cum Shot Wound, I guess. I don't know, but maybe
So, fun
I don't-
fact though, Lana is Annette O'Toole, who is also Martha in Smallville.
Martha. Oh.
Like, how did I not know that? She's Martha throughout the whole freaking series, and I did not know she was Lana.
It's
Lang.
like they're 20 years apart in age from the filming, so how could you recognize them?
I love how many people that they have used from the old movies in the new stuff. Like, they really, I feel like none of the casting in the CW Arrowverse or any of that stuff is,
They really do.
Not
DC does a
intentional.
really good job of paying homage to the originality, the actors and actresses who played the original characters. I got to give them that.
yeah. And we see that in Superman 4 too, which I'll get to in a second. But one of the things I loved about Superman 3 was the scene where Clark comes out as Superman, and Superman's red is very dark now because he's dark. And I thought they did a great job
He's
of
mean.
Clark in Darkseid Superman.
They
look like two different people. He did a great job of portraying both these characters and fighting. So that was really good. Yeah. Okay, so Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, is out in 1987. A kid writes a letter to Superman to get rid of all the nuclear weapons. He does. Lex escapes again and creates Nuclear Man to stop Superman and sell.
Dang it,
Superman
Lex.
wins. John Cryer is in this. You know what else John Cryer's in?
John Cryer? He's
Lex's nephew, but he's also plays Lex in
I was going to say,
Arrowverse.
wasn't he Lex? Okay. John Cryer, we're talking about John Cryer from
2.5 Men.
that John Cryer is in this movie?
Yes.
Why did I think he wasn't that old? But he's old enough to be in a 1987 Superman film. Wow.
Yeah, he was in 16 Candles. Something like that. I think it was 16 Candles.
Wow.
Yeah, he's, what was his name? Fergie or something.
Really?
Somebody's yelling at
I
their
feel like-
car stereo right now.
The three people that listen they're sure yelling at their stereo. Curse you! Huh. Today I learned. Interesting.
Maybe it was pretty. Did I say Pretty in Pink or did I say Sweet?
You said 16 Candles.
I'm still working.
So Christopher Reeve was involved in writing the story, and Lana's gone. Okay, interesting. And this is the one
They
that
don't even mention Lana. She's just like, bloop, just a blurb.
gone, just gone.
Nobody cares.
But this gives us Superman changing in a phone booth, whereas in Superman 1, he's falling out of the tower and just magically changes clothes. He's
Pretty in
Ducky?
Pink, he's Ducky. Durr.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
This was, I'm not going to lie. There were times I was working on my Shutterfly album and not paying 100% attention to these movies when I was watching them.
Dude, oh my God, is nothing sacred anymore?
But I'm so behind on my Shutterfly albums.
What?
Blame
I don't
this
even know
podcast
what the
for that.
Shutterfly albums are.
They're photo albums.
Oh.
I'm
okay.
4 years behind, which is really bad for me. So, that's how I went off track because you didn't know what Shutterfly was.
Well, I know what Shutterfly is. I just was confused. Is this a digital album or they're physical albums?
Well, I make them on the computer and then I order them. So I lost it again. What am I
You
doing?
keep all these albums.
Oh, this is the first movie that I realized he changed in a phone booth. Where's my ornament?
Is this where he found all your albums? Do you keep them in a phone booth?
No, I keep them in my living room on the shelf and under the
You
coffee
do?
table.
I have
do.
never seen your albums there. Maybe
Next
I
time
just
you're
never
in
paid
some
attention.
of them.
What? And I didn't even know about this.
Yeah,
Is crazy.
next time you're here, I will show you a photo album.
Well, we will be there soon enough. Interesting. Now I know. I have to find him. Yes. Yep. Okay. Anyways, what else happens? There's flag on the moon. Who takes the flag to the moon?
So, America
Defy
did
Mavity?
when they took one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind, and they put American flag on the moon. But what's funny in this, when he goes to the moon and he's fighting Nuclear Man, and Nuclear Man had ripped the flag off of the moon, and then Superman goes to put the flag back in the moon. I think is a nod to the end of the first movie. We see him with the flag on top of the White House. I think that was the first movie.
Yes.
But what's funny is when he's doing that, you can literally see that the top of the flag is on a pole because they're trying to show that it's defying Mavity because there's less Mavity on the moon. Gravity.
Mavity?
For anybody watching Doctor Who, they're calling it Mavity now.
Oh, I thought that you had a typo, and I was
No,
like,
that
why
was
does she keep saying
intentional.
Mavity? What am I missing? I don't understand what's happening.
Because they're sticking with that in Doctor Who. Even this season,
I-
they kept referring to it as
Okay, I
Mavity.
remember when they changed it when the shorts and specials that we watched, and I didn't realize that they were keeping. Okay, wow. Oh,
They're
wow.
keeping it.
Okay.
I'm liking it. It's a long running joke.
That is a
But
fun
it's
joke.
hilarious because it's like at no point did they think like we should reshoot that. We should fix the flag so you don't see the pole sticking out of the top.
Yeah, that's funny.
That would be easier. And so the realtor in this is Mr. Hornsby, which the only reason I'm mentioning that is because I've been reviewing the comic Hornsby and Halo.
Yes.
And Jeff Johns is part of that project, and he's also been part of like
He's
every
written
DC
some of the
project.
best. Yeah, I mean, he's written everybody.
Right. And so I feel like obviously they were going for a play on Heaven and Hell, but I feel like that's got to be a nod to Superman.
Oh, it has to be. I would think so.
I think so.
We'll have to ask him that next time we talk to him because, no big deal. We know Jeff Johns. We'll have to ask him. No big deal.
But this was a lot of they also had like a whole Mrs. Doubtfire scene where he's trying to be Clark and Superman in the same scene, and
this movie got a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. Superman 4 did.
Yeah, and only 3.7 on IMDb. I don't think that is worthy considering the first one was 7.8. I mean, this one's not.
Now I need to watch this one just because I need to see if it's actually that bad.
I didn't think that it was. I mean, it's not.
I don't imagine it would be. It's probably nothing earth-shattering, but
I
wow.
feel like it deserved like a 5 or a 6 at least.
Is Gene Hackman Lex Luthor still?
Yeah.
He stayed committed. Wow, good for him.
John Cryer helped break him out of prison.
Jeez. And they gave this movie a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes? Man, I've seen the things you people like. And to give this 10%? No way. That's insane.
Everybody go get an IMDb account and go vote. Go change your rating.
That's crazy. Wow. All right. Well, do you have anything else before we wrap up this first inaugural episode for Super
Probably
Summer?
have a lot more, but I'm going to try to save stuff. I've already started going into TV stuff. Next week, we will continue our Super Summer with Superman TV. I think Matt's going to go into the cartoons, and I'll go into a lot of
I will
live
dive
action
into
stuff.
them cartoons, yes.
So we'll have fun facts galore because we cannot recap everything. So we're going to
God, there's so much weird. Yeah, no. We can, however, tell you that we met Tom Welling just a few months ago. No big deal.
We paid to meet him. So
yeah, I know.
Come
on, man. Shut up. But
him,
yeah.
Tabby, all three of us, we paid what, $20 each to meet him and take
Something
a
like
picture.
that. I mean, Brandon Routh was right there. We're going to be talking about his Superman film at 1.2. The only one we haven't met yet, obviously, Christopher Reeve, because we can't. And then Henry Cavill. So, Henry, if you want to come on the show, dude, I know you're a nerd and you're never going to listen to this, but maybe you're like the third person in England that listens. I don't know, man. Maybe you're just playing Warhammer for, I don't know. But yes, Super Summer, we oversimplified Superman 2 through 4 because really we wanted to focus on the first Superman film because we're focusing on the first, in some cases, only Superman film to get us ready for Superman July 11th. We'll be talking next week, like Lauren said. And let us know what your favorite moments are, what you thought about this film. And we will talk to you guys soon. Don't forget patreon.com/hopsgeeknews if you want to support the show. Go follow us on social media, leave a review, tell the algorithm to find us. And thanks for hanging out, everybody. We will see you next week. Cheers.